When the paternity test results confirmed that my daughter's biological father was Emily's first love, David, I was devastated. I resolutely left, leaving the divorce agreement behind. Before I left, I commented under their family photo on social media, "Getting a divorce will make room for you." Just a minute later, Emily called Alex. "Even if Lily isn't your daughter, can't you take care of her? How can you be so heartless?" I scoffed and hung up. Their business was none of mine. But she became anxious again the day I received the paternity test results. That day with my daughter marked exactly the 8th anniversary of my marriage to Emily. I took a deep breath, but still didn't dare to open that document until Emily sent me a, "Alex, I'm not going home today. I have no money in my account. Transfer some to me." Only then did I wake up from my dream. Slowly, I opened the paternity test results. The findings hit me like a heavy blow, leaving me dizzy. The daughter I had raised for 5 years turned out to be the child of Emily's first love, David. I slowly closed my eyes, and at that moment, my heart was surprisingly calm, but my head was pounding painfully. If it weren't for stumbling upon Emily and David's scandal, perhaps I would still be in the dark, foolishly raising their child. At that moment, the phone rang again. It was Emily. "Have you seen my message? Hurry up and transfer the money." I smiled bitterly, thinking to myself, this is what happens when you run out of money and David starts messing around. Only then do you remember me. Do I have easy mark written on my forehead? I ignored her, picked up the packed luggage, set down the divorce agreement, and prepared to leave this place of sorrow. Before leaving, I opened Emily's social media and, as expected, saw a photo of her and David playing with their daughter at the amusement park. Emily is really bold, being so blatant before the divorce. How foolish have I been all these years to give her such audacity? Thinking of this, I decisively commented on her. "Get a divorce. It'll make room for your family. From now on, you can be together openly, and it's better for your daughter to be with her biological parents." As I expected, a minute later, Emily's questioning call came in. "Alex, what do you mean by what you posted in your friend's circle? Do you know how others will talk about me when they see it?" I was momentarily at a loss for words. "Emily, you've done something like this, and now you're afraid of what others might say." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Emily, did I say something wrong? Don't you know whose child Lily is? Just get a divorce. I've left the divorce agreement at home. Just sign it." Emily was taken aback by my words and said in disbelief, "You want to divorce me? Alex, do you have any conscience? Lily is your child. Who have you been listening to? How can you humiliate me like this?" After 8 years of marriage, I discovered for the first time that Emily has such thick skin, and her ability to lie with her eyes wide open is truly top-notch. I said hoarsely, "Emily, I had someone do a paternity test for me." Hearing this, Emily fell silent for a moment, then impatiently said, "Alex, even if Lily isn't your daughter, can't you take care of her? How can you be so disgusting?" Emily's words exploded in my heart like a bomb. Even though I already knew about her and David's scandal, hearing her admit it with my own ears still made my heart ache. 8 years, what do I really need to Emily? Once I had imagined countless times how Emily would react when I exposed her disgrace. I thought she would beg for my forgiveness and admit her mistakes, but I never expected her to so brazenly make me wear the screen hat. My heart is bleeding, and the last glimmer of hope for Emily has completely vanished. At this moment, we are all adults now. There's nothing that can be accepted. I coldly hung up the phone. Their matters are no longer related to me. I originally thought it would be best to part on good terms, but now it seems that would be unfair to myself. I need to reclaim everything she did that wronged me. I moved back to the apartment I lived in before getting married. At this time, the sky was getting darker, and one abusive text message after another from Emily came in on my phone. I ignored them and eventually blocked her. This marriage must end. No man can accept that the child he has raised for 5 years is not his own. Although my love for Lily over these 5 years has been genuine, just thinking about Emily's arrogant attitude makes me feel sick, as if I've swallowed a fly, and I can't help but feel some resentment toward Lily. As well, it's been 10 years. So let's just say I misjudged the person Emily. We were college classmates. She comes from an ordinary family, and her parents favor boys over girls. So she could only rely on part-time jobs to make a living. It was her resilience that gradually made me fall for her. It wasn't until I graduated from university Then I realized her family didn't prioritize sons over daughters. They simply didn't see her as a person at all. The first time I went to her home, after several hours of winding mountain roads, I didn't even get a hot meal. Her parents immediately demanded a dowry of $1 million, along with a house and a car. When my parents found out, they didn't say much. After all, this condition isn't excessive for our family. They just worried that Emily is a brother supporting demon, which poses a significant risk for such in-laws. At that moment, Emily found me. Her eyes filled with tears as she apologized. Alex, let's end this. I don't want to burden you. I love you, and I've been very content these past 2 years. Back then, full of youthful vigor, I believed that love could conquer all. With my persistence, we got married. It turns out that my parents' concerns were justified. Emily's family took the dowry, moved to the city, and spent their days idling, without ever thinking about making money. Her brother dropped out of school at 20, indulging in drinking, gambling, and all sorts of vices. And whenever he ran out of money, he would ask Emily for more. He was clever. He only needed a few thousand each time. But over the 8 years, the amount of money they took from her family, not counting the house and car, added up to several million. It's not that I'm not annoyed. It's just that my parents have been enduring it for the sake of Emily, giving birth to Lily. I never expected that now even the daughter isn't mine. Every time I think of Emily's increasingly arrogant attitude and her vampire-like relatives, I can't help but regret it. What kind of spell have I been under for these 8 years that I am so devoted to her? To my surprise, Emily came to my door. The next day, Alex, you actually dared to block me. Do you have someone else outside? She pushed me aside and rushed into the room, searching everywhere, trying to find evidence of my infidelity. Unfortunately for her, I disappointed her. I am not as pathetic as she is. I closed the door, walked up to her, stared at this familiar yet unfamiliar face, and calmly said, "Have you signed the divorce agreement?" Emily was taken aback, staring at me in disbelief. "Are you really going to divorce me?" "Alex, I saved you back then, and this is how you treat me now. After 8 years of marriage, you say you want a divorce. Just like that. Has your conscience been eaten by a dog? I almost died to save you. Don't you remember?" I smiled, straightened my body, and looked down at her. "Did you save me for my sake? Or did you not want to live in the first place? In other words, Emily, marrying me wasn't for the money, was it? After 8 years of marriage, haven't you exploited my guilt enough?" I looked at her sarcastically. Emily's face flashed with a hint of panic, but she still held her head high. "And what exactly are you talking about? I can't understand you at all." "Can't understand, can you?" I pulled out my phone and held it in front of her. "Can you see who these two people, hugging and kissing, are? I heard everything you and David said last time. You said, you've been with me all these years for the money. And you said Lily really misses her biological father." I said each word clearly. Emily's face instantly turned pale. I discovered Emily and David's scandal last week. That day, thinking about how Emily had been having stomach pains. Lately, I went to buy some traditional Chinese medicine, made a nourishing soup for her stomach, packed it in a thermos, and drove to her company, planning to pick up my daughter Lily afterward. When I arrived at the company, the receptionist looked at me and asked in confusion, "Sir, did Emily leave something behind?" I shook my head no. I brought her some stomach-nourishing soup. The receptionist was even more confused. Emily just laughed. "I thought you picked her up. She said she was going to a class reunion." Class reunion? The class monitor didn't notify me. I frowned and had no choice but to carry my things back to the car and let the nanny go pick up Lily. On the way, my heart was filled with unease. I asked the class monitor, and he said he had never organized a reunion for college classmates. So it must have been a gathering from Emily's middle or elementary school days. But why did she lie to me about going to socialize? Otherwise, I wouldn't have made her soup so early, worried that she would feel unwell after drinking at night. The doubts grew deeper, so I simply tracked the location of Emily's car. Her car was sent for maintenance last week, and she has been driving my car these past couple of days. When I found the car at a certain club, I immediately rushed over. A man's sixth sense is very accurate. He always feels that Emily is hiding something from him. As soon as I reached the 3rd floor, I saw Emily and David embracing each other. At that moment, my ears were buzzing, and my heart felt like it was being pounded heavily, with every breath bringing pain. Thinking back to how Emily had been so distracted, Recently, I had assumed it was due to work stress, but I never expected it was, because an old lover had returned. I know the man who was hugging my wife. David, Emily's high school classmate and first love. I met him on our wedding day, when he had just arrived from abroad, to congratulate us on our marriage. Emily generously introduced him to me, so I didn't pay much attention to their relationship. After the wedding, David returned abroad. Over the years, I hardly heard Emily mention him, and I thought she had long forgotten that naive high school romance. I didn't expect that after 10 years, they were still inseparable. After a while, Emily and David finally separated. Panting for breath. David, how long can you stay this time? Lily hasn't seen you yet. You're her biological father. Emily's voice was a bit hoarse, probably because she had been drinking. Every time she drank, her voice would become hoarse, and her stomach issues would flare up. So in the past, I would always prepare hangover soup in advance. But now I stood there feeling like a complete fool. The courage I originally had to confront Emily vanished without a trace. At that moment, Lily is not my daughter. My hands and feet couldn't stop trembling. My palms were drenched in sweat, and I felt completely crushed. My mind went blank. At this moment, Emily spoke again, and even though there was a wall between us, I could hear her words clearly. David, I was with Alex for the money. Are you still resenting me for not waiting for you and marrying him? But I really had no choice. When you went abroad to study, my parents insisted that I drop out of school and marry the old bachelor. In the village, you know, they would do anything. I was only 20 years old. I couldn't ruin my life. Perhaps recalling the past, Emily's voice was a bit choked. Over the years, do you know how much I've missed you? Don't say that, Emily. I don't blame you. I just hate myself for not coming back sooner. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had to suffer so much. Emily's current job was found for her by a friend. It's an easy clerical position, and she strongly insisted that women in the new era shouldn't be full-time housewives. Most of the time, Lily is like a nanny taking care of her. Besides doing some simple tasks, she just goes shopping and gets beauty treatments. In these 8 years, where has she worked hard? I lower my head, my eyes feeling incredibly sore. Emily has kept it from me for so long. My daughter is already 5 years old, and she has never revealed her background. I watched the two of them confiding in each other, expressionless, tightly holding the thermos with bitter smiles on their lips. Emily, you really are something. After being caught by me, Emily bit her lip and said, Alex, I just haven't seen David for too long and got carried away by my feelings. Can't you forgive me? Alex, I saved your life. She ran in front of me, grasped my hand, her face full of pleading. Everyone makes mistakes. I swear this will only be this once, okay? She brought up the matter of saving me once again, and my heart felt like it was being pierced by 1,000 needles. I once thought that was a manifestation of love, but now I realize it was all a deception. After knowing that Lily is not my daughter, I investigated what happened back then. It turns out that the so-called Emily Save Me for Love was all a lie. At first, Emily was forced by her mother to drop out of school and marry the village's old bachelor. In despair, she deliberately provoked a mentally ill patient, wanting to end her life. Unexpectedly, she encountered me in that alley. Knowing that I came from a wealthy family, she had an idea and led the mentally ill patient towards me. Then when he swung his knife, she rushed out to save me, but ended up getting injured in the back. I still remember how Emily looked at that time. I asked her why she was being so foolish, and her face was pale, her ears red, and she weakly said, Alex, I've actually liked you for a long time. At that time, I had long had a crush on her. Hearing those words, I naturally thought we were in love with each other. After being discharged from the hospital, we confirmed our relationship. Because the wound was deep, she was left with a scar on her back. I once thought about taking her to the hospital to remove the scar, but she hugged my shoulder and playfully winked, saying, this is my way of showing I love you. So from the very beginning, Emily was acting. Years later, she no longer wanted to continue this act. After all, I was completely devoted to her. Wasn't I? Indeed, when I saw her kissing David, I didn't have the courage to question it, because I was afraid of losing her. When I heard that Lily wasn't my child, I was unwilling to believe it, and even had a paternity test done. But reality cruelly shattered my illusions. Lily is really not my child. Looking back now, do I still love Emily? The indifference and annoyance she has shown me over the years keep flashing in my mind. I loved the once bright and kind Emily, Not the woman who now speaks nothing but lies and is selfish. Moreover, the Emily the first loved was never real. So why should I continue to be entangled? I looked at Emily wearily, my eyes filled with disgust. Emily, you really have lost your value. I heard David is a successful person. Instead of clinging to me, why don't you go after him? What do you want to drain me dry before you leave? Emily bit her lower lip until it turned white, finally feeling a bit of anger. Since being with her, I had never spoken harshly to her. And now suddenly changing my attitude. Someone as proud as she was would definitely not be able to tolerate it. Alex, now I want to talk to you properly. But you insist on this. If you want a divorce, then let's get a divorce. Just remember, don't come begging me later. I tugged at the corner of my mouth. Remember to send the signed agreement to the lawyer. Let's consider the money borrowed from your family over the years. As settled, Emily's face completely fell. She stood up, grabbed her bag, and said angrily, Alex, you really disappoint me. But Emily did not sign the divorce agreement. I don't know what she is holding on to. Isn't it good for me to support their family of 3? So I decisively hired a lawyer to sue her. She was the one who cheated, and she shouldn't expect to get a single cent of the family assets. These days, Emily unexpectedly hasn't contacted me until her parents came to see me. They seemed unaware that Emily and I were getting a divorce. When they saw me, smiling broadly and rubbing my hands together, they said, Good. Son-in-law, look how long it's been. Your mom and I have been eating vegetarian lately. We haven't touched any meat. After learning that Emily cheated, I cut off the financial support I was giving to their family. Out of sympathy for Emily, I regularly transferred money to them to prevent them from bothering her. Now that I am no longer that gullible fool, I naturally have to take back all the benefits I used to give them. I used to give them 10,000 yuan a month for living expenses, which was enough for a family of 3. But I couldn't stand my brother-in-law's gambling habit. Son-in-law, your dad and I have been living so frugally lately. And look at you living so lavishly in such a big house. Isn't that a waste? Her mom smiled at me. Look, your little uncle is about to get married, and he still needs a place to live. My brother-in-law popped out from behind with a cheeky grin. Yeah, brother-in-law, why are you here instead of staying with my sister? Well, you want to keep a mistress. Let me tell you, if you really want to make my sister happy, just give me this apartment, and then go back and apologize to her. Indeed, if it weren't for Emily, how could they have found this place? Emily's father rummaged through the cabinets for something to drink and nodded in agreement. I helplessly rubbed my forehead, truly not knowing that others would think I was foolish. Son-in-law, how could they have the audacity to say that? My family's money is theirs. How could I have supported this group of freeloaders? For 8 years, I said, Emily and I are getting a divorce. Didn't you know your sister cheated? But she wants to leave with nothing. What's the point of causing a scene here? You might as well ask your sister what good things she has done. After all, her lover is also very wealthy, much richer than I am. In a single sentence, they shifted their focus. Watching their hurried figures leave, I suddenly looked forward to this grand drama. After all, could David, this successful person, accept these 3 vampire relatives? And how long could this former couple withstand the impact of reality? They had separated back then because of reality. Both Emily and David were victims of their original families. In their hearts, the future and prospects were the top priority, while love had to take a back seat. So when David got the opportunity to study abroad, he decisively broke up with Emily, even though it was hard to part. Soon I received a call from Emily, and as soon as she opened her mouth, she scolded me. Alex, are you out of your mind? What nonsense are you saying to my parents? Now they've gone to David's company. Are you satisfied now? I chuckled softly, feeling a sense of relief in my heart. Not satisfied. This is just the beginning. Let me tell you, Emily, if you don't divorce me, they'll find someone to stir up trouble at David's place. I heard he just got promoted to general manager. Right. Emily paused for a moment, then said, Alex, can we not make a fuss? Let's just say we had a fight. Can we make up now? I promise you I won't have any more contact with David. I laughed and said, Emily, do you still think I'm jealous? I admit I once loved you very much, but now you're not worth it at all. She scoffed, her tone full of disdain. Stop pretending, Alex. After 8 years of marriage, do you think I don't know? How could you bear to part with me? How can I bear to part? In the past, you disguised yourself so well that I didn't realize you were such a selfish person. Emily, do you know that now when I hear your voice, I feel disgusted. These were the harshest words I had ever said to her. In 8 years of marriage, she hung up the phone with a snap. After leaving Emily, I lived a relaxed and pleasant life, drinking and chatting with friends, and spending time with my parents. However, I haven't told my parents about the divorce yet. I plan to wait until everything settles down, before I do on the weekend. I received a call from a college classmate, saying that the class monitor organized a reunion, and it had been a long time since we last met. As soon as I reached the door of the private room, I heard Emily's voice. I don't know what's wrong with Alex lately. He insists on divorcing me, and doesn't even care about the kids. Her voice sounded pitiful, drawing sympathy from everyone. Don't worry. We will definitely talk to Alex properly. You have been married for 8 years. And men, well, they just care about their pride. That's right. Who didn't know that? You almost lost her life to save him. If Alex had any conscience at all, he shouldn't have divorced you. A girl stood up for her. Alas, I love Alex. What can I do? Emily continued her performance. At this moment, someone couldn't help but speak for me. Emily, is what you're saying true? According to you, Alex doesn't care about anything. But why is it that every time I see someone picking up the kids, it's him? The speaker was our university class monitor, whose son is in the same kindergarten as Lily. Because of the kids, we have been in touch quite a bit. What's wrong with picking up the child? You men only know how to fuss over these trivial details. We women do so much, and you don't care at all. But picking up a child is suddenly a responsibility. The girl who just defended Emily felt a bit awkward. I smiled as I pushed the door open and walked in. The class monitor stood up and warmly greeted me. Alex, come and sit. Everyone else also chimed in. Alex, long time no see. They had tacitly left the seat next to Emily free. I sat down steadily, glancing at Emily and thinking to myself, her acting skills have improved. Looking at those red eyes, if I weren't the person involved, I would really think she was the victim. I looked around at my classmates and smiled, saying, hello everyone, long time no see. I'm here at the reunion today for 2 reasons. First, to catch up, and second, to let you all know that I have filed for divorce from Emily. Of course, to prevent any rumors from spreading that I did something to wrong her and tarnish my reputation. I need to clarify. The reason for my divorce from Emily is that she cheated. Emily's smile instantly froze. Her face filled with embarrassment, clearly not expecting me to bring this up in public. After all, which man would publicly proclaim that he had been cheated on? The classmates were all stunned, their gazes fixed on Emily. After reaching my goal, I briefly said goodbye to the class leader and turned to leave. Just as I arrived at the elevator door, Emily caught up with me breathless and called out, Alex, what do you really mean? I stopped in my tracks, turned around to look at her, and said, didn't you already know what I meant? Emily stared at me intently, took a deep breath, and said softly, Alex, I never thought about separating from you. I'm just angry that you've changed. You used to care for me in every way. Yes, I admit that I was wrong about Lily, but if you love me, why can't you accept it? Even though I had long lost my feelings for Emily, hearing her shameless words still sent a chill through my heart. You see, this is the arrogance of someone who is loved. 10 years of feelings like a farce. Emily knew it would hurt me, yet she took advantage of my love recklessly. Now that I have withdrawn my love, she can't stand it anymore. I couldn't be bothered to waste more words with her. So I said slowly, Emily, are you trying to reconcile with me because you can't bear to part with me? Or because you've realized David can't offer you better conditions? After all, that group of vampire relatives of yours is no joke. Emily's expressions differed, revealing the embarrassment of having her hidden feelings exposed. She reached out and grabbed my arm. Alex, how can you think like that? We've been married for so many years. The corners of my mouth lifted. See, you're eager to come back and reconcile with me. But in the end, it's still about money. Emily, I've loved you for almost 10 years. And we've been married for 8. Do you really think I'm easy to bully? Even if I used to love you, I don't anymore. If you keep pestering me, I guarantee you won't get anything. And David won't have a good ending either. Emily's face instantly turned pale. Indeed, I had almost forgotten how impulsive I used to be. In my senior year, there was a little thug who often harassed female students at the school gate. One day when Emily was waiting for me to pick her up on the street, that thug set his sights on her and even made lewd comments. When I drove over, I happened to see Emily nearly in tears from fear. I immediately beat the thug up, and ended up paying tens of thousands in medical bills. But after he was discharged from the hospital, I gave him another beating, until he no longer dared to show up near the school. At that time, Emily asked me if I was going too far, and I just smiled while rubbing her face and said, "My person no one else can touch." Now I still say this. My things others cannot touch. If they do, they must pay the price. Perhaps I was too humble in front of Emily before, which allowed her to become increasingly arrogant, forgetting that our family also has a reputation in the area. Getting rid of a David is as easy as pie for me. Emily reacted in a softer tone, saying, "Alex, I just feel like you're too busy with work and don't have time for me. You know I can be stubborn, but if I didn't love you, why would I have stayed by your side for so many years? I understand that you can't accept me as background. So how about I have another child for us? If you really can't accept it, I'll send her away." Hearing this, I looked at Emily seriously. "Emily, you and David really are a perfect match, not a pair of scumbags. I stopped loving you a long time ago, and now just seeing you makes me feel sick. If I don't see the divorce agreement tomorrow, neither you nor David can think about getting away. Remember tomorrow." Emily's face was pale, her eyes flickering with unease and fear. She knew I meant what I said. At that moment, the elevator doors closed and I saw her mouth open, but I was at a loss for words. The next day, I divorced Emily as I wished. As for Lily's custody, it naturally went to Emily, but the child had previously been sent back to the old house, where my parents were taking care of her. Now I had to let her take the child away. Seeing Emily and me return at the same time, Lily raised her lovely smile, hugged my thigh, and asked, "Daddy, why haven't you taken me to the amusement park for so long?" Emily's face flashed with a hint of embarrassment. For the child, I really can't bring myself to speak harshly. After all, I raised her myself. I bent down and gently pinched Lily's little face. "Sweetheart, Mommy is going to take you out to play, and Daddy will come later." "Okay." Lily nodded firmly and gave me a kiss on the cheek. "Then Dad, remember to come early." I nodded in response and waved goodbye to Lily. Mom noticed something was off and poked my arm. "What's going on with you and Emily? Is it necessary to take all of Lily's things just to take her out to play? We're divorced." I calmly stated this fact, as if I had dropped a heavy bomb, leaving my parents in shock. Under their shocked gaze, I detailed the course of events. My mother was so angry she nearly fainted. Over the years, for Lily's sake, they had shown Emily a lot of tolerance. But to think that their granddaughter, whom they had cared for over 5 years, was actually someone else's child, was simply too much to bear. After calming my parents down, I drove back to the apartment. Perhaps it was my fault. Emily only asked for custody of Lily. It would be foolish to turn down money in this way. I wouldn't have to hire a lawyer to fight a lawsuit that I no longer want. That villa I've lived in for 8 years. Even though I decorated it myself, the memories inside are just too terrible. After the divorce, my parents were eager to arrange blind dates for me. After all, I was almost 30 and still didn't have my own children. I refused all of them, citing my inability to forget Emily as the reason. They were worried that I might do something irrational and try to reconcile with Emily, so they gradually stopped urging me. After breaking up with Emily, the company's profits improved significantly. I devoted myself entirely to work. After all, who would complain about having too much money? However, just at that moment, Emily's eccentric relative showed up. A group of them barged into my house. After a late night socializing, my hangover made my headache even worse. I immediately called the property management to complain and asked them to let these people in. Emily's father said sternly, "Alex, I heard you divorced my daughter and didn't even pay her any divorce compensation." Her mother also said, "Yes, Emily has been with you for almost 10 years, giving you her best years, and you actually kicked her out of the house without giving her a penny. Are you even human?" They say businessmen are calculating, and it turns out to be true. "If there are any problems, let Emily come to me," I said. Her mother quickly intervened. "No, Emily is too sensitive. She will only suffer here. If there's anything to discuss, just talk to us and you can give the money to us." I finally couldn't hold back any longer. It seems today is the day they came to ask for money. Just look at this situation. They must have known about their daughter's scandal for a long time. I suppressed my annoyance, sent a message to Emily, and then called the police, stating that someone had broken in to commit robbery. That day, Emily's relatives were taken to the police station. As soon as they entered, they started rummaging around, knocking over several antique vases, and even stealing a few expensive figurines I had bought, claiming they would take them home for the kids to play with, regardless of the amount. Entering a room to commit robbery can be filed as a case. Moreover, the value of the things they destroyed was considerable, and a group of people was detained. It was then that they realized they had gotten into big trouble, and they all shouted that it was Emily's parents who had deceived them into coming to make a scene, only giving them $200 as payment. Emily's parents cried as they explained to the police that they didn't know it was a robbery. They were going to their son-in-law's house. So how could it be considered a home invasion? I took out the divorce certificate and the video of them asking for money and calmly said, "After 8 years of marriage, they have taken at least several million from me. Now that we are divorced, they have no money and come to ask me for more. This doesn't make sense, does it?" As soon as these words were spoken, the police cast sympathetic glances at me as if to say, "How did I end up with such troublesome in-laws?" After a while, Emily and David hurried over, seeing a group of relatives making a fuss in the police station. Emily felt overwhelmed after figuring out the situation and hearing the amount that needed to be compensated. She felt weak. "$1 million. Officer, my parents broke things worth $1 million. The police nodded. Emily frowned, looking at her parents, who were still shouting for her to seek justice, unable to hold back her anger. "What do you want to do? Isn't the trouble you've caused me enough? Why don't you just stay in prison for the rest of your lives?" Her mother immediately pointed at her and, "You worthless piece of trash. Your dad and I have raised you for so many years, and now you're making us go to jail. Has your conscience been eaten by a dog? You can't even keep a man. What are you? If it weren't for the fact that the man you found later is useless, would I have gone after Alex?" David's expression also became quite unpleasant. No one likes to be compared unfavorably to their girlfriend's ex. "What do you want me to do? Mom and Dad, you say you gave birth to me and raised me. Hasn't the money I've given you over the years been enough? What else do I have to do for you to be satisfied?" Emily questioned sharply, her eyes filled with despair. Over the years, she has given so much to her family, yet received neither love nor respect from them. Only endless demands. "I don't want to get entangled with these people anymore." So I turned to leave. At that moment, Emily caught up with me and blocked my way. "Alex, I'm begging you. Please let my parents go this time. They're getting old and can't go to prison. And my brother is about to get married." I laughed. "At this point, Emily, you really are filial and magnanimous. If you want me to let them go, that's fine. But they need to compensate me for the things they destroyed in my house." Emily bit her lip, but said, "We don't have that much money right now. $1 million is not a small amount. Can't you just consider it a good deed?" "No way." I shook my head firmly. "Emily, do you think I'm still as foolish as before? Not understanding what you're thinking. It's because David can't meet your parents' exorbitant demands that you're looking to me to solve the problem, right? Anyway, in the past, whenever they asked me for money, I would always give it." Emily felt a moment of guilt, but quickly realized and showed a look of regret on her face. "Alex, David doesn't have a privileged family like you. He has worked hard to get to where he is now, and I can't let him be affected because of me." "Emily, then why should I be the one to get hurt? Isn't it enough that you use me?" As soon as the words left my mouth, I suddenly realized that the emotions I had been deliberately ignoring surged back to the forefront of my mind. I am still sad. It's sad that these 8 years of marriage have been so unfortunate. Sad about Emily's lies and betrayal. Sad that the daughter I raised for 5 years is not actually mine. At that moment, David walked over and took out his savings for many years to cover the compensation. Since the money was in place, I generously chose to forgive, and the family was released. Before turning to leave, I heard Emily softly say sorry. I didn't look back and walked away briskly into the sunlight. The next time I heard from Emily was 6 months later. I learned from the university class monitor that Lily and David were not getting along well. David had little patience and often yelled at Lily. Whenever Lily cried, she would insist on seeing me, which David, as her biological father, couldn't stand. However, when Emily saw their daughter crying, she would get angry at David, saying he wasn't as good to Lily as I was. Over time, their once sweet love was worn down by the trivialities of life, leading to constant arguments. A year later, I ran into Emily by chance. That day, I went to pick up my parents' health checkup reports and happened to see her, visibly pregnant, going for her prenatal checkup. She looked about 5 or 6 months along. Seeing me alone, she couldn't help but probe. "Long time no see. How have you been living with your wife lately?" I shook my head. "Not married. How about you add a contact method?" Emily's eyes lit up, and she immediately took out her phone from her bag and added me to her contacts. I ignored her, picked up my things, and left. I also posted a photo of the three of us on my social media with the caption, "Long time no see," and set it to be visible only to David. As expected, Emily and David had a big fight, and Lily was so scared that she cried. Later, Emily complained to me, saying that David doesn't give her the freedom I used to. "Why can't he do that?" I smiled. Doesn't Emily understand that trusting her like this has only resulted in betrayal? One time, Emily took Lily and me out to eat, and after we got home, Lily accidentally let it slip that she preferred her old dad. David immediately questioned Emily if she had been secretly meeting with me. He worked hard for the family all day, and yet his wife was ambiguous with her ex-husband. What man could accept that? Emily impatiently shoved David, not expecting that David would retaliate, resulting in the loss of the child she was carrying. Later, I went to the hospital with a bouquet of roses to visit Emily. David was kneeling on the ground, begging for her forgiveness. Emily's parents were demanding $200,000 in alimony from David, threatening to have their daughter divorce him. Otherwise, David got into an argument with them, saying that he had already given the Bew family a considerable amount of money over the years. So why did they always want more? Whenever there was an opportunity, Emily lay in bed, her face full of pain, but no one cared that she needed a quiet environment. After the miscarriage, at that moment, 2 police officers entered the hospital room and took David away on the grounds of embezzlement. The room was immediately thrown into chaos. I silently placed the rose by Emily's bedside and then turned to leave. Today, as soon as I reached the door, Emily weakly called out to me, "Alex, it was you, wasn't it? You still hate me." I didn't respond and quickly blocked all of Emily's contact information, resolutely leaving in the sunlight. Watching her life fall apart, I finally felt a sense of satisfaction from revenge.